Let's say we have a large company that runs 24 hours a day, and we have about 12 or 13 people with full administrative access to handle our SQL Server. And maybe we have one prankster. Now let me give you an example. Somebody with full administrative rights thought they'd be funny and create a harmless table called Boss Slacks. And all it's got is a Boss Slacks ID as an int, which is our primary key, and we'll run this. Okay. Where is Boss Slacks over here? It's not there until we refresh the Object Explorer, and this table sits out there, giving us absolutely no usefulness. And the boss says, hey, who did this? And the chances of them fessing up are pretty low. Well, what we can do is we can create a DDL trigger that runs when certain DDL statements are fired off. First of all, let's get rid of this table. Drop table Boss Slacks. Run this. Make sure that it's gone. Now, we're going to create a simple form of this trigger by typing create trigger trg_audit new tables. We're going to put this on the entire database. If you're anywhere in the database creating a table, we want it to fire off. So we'll say it's for the create table event as, and of course we'll put a begin end. Now, I could put some logic in here that records who did it or tries to stop them if it's funny, but just to show you how the trigger runs, we're going to start off with something simple in the middle. A print, are you sure you want to do that? End single quote. Okay, let's run this create trigger statement. It says commands completed successfully. Now, just to show you the trigger fires off when I run a create table statement, let's execute this, and it says, are you sure you want to do that? Will this trigger that's based on DDL events fire off when I drop the table? Drop is a DDL statement. Let's check. No, it just said commands completed successfully. Create the table again. Now it fires off. This trigger only works when you create a table in the database. Let's create a trigger that will fire off when you drop a table from the database. Create trigger trg_outgoing tables on database for drop table as begin and end, and our logic will go here. Let's just put a message in here to test that it's firing off. Print table going away. Okay, let's run this. Commands completed successfully. Now let's see what happens when we drop the table. Table going away. Let's see what happens when we create the table. The first trigger fires off. Well, instead of printing this message, why don't we show the details of what just happened? So what I'm going to do is replace this print statement with a statement that says print event data. Now, if I try to run this, I can't because the trigger has already been created. So I'm going to change this to alter. Is it happy now? No, because I'm trying to print event data, and event data isn't a text, it's an XML. So what I'm going to have to do is cast this as var char max. And let's run this. Okay, commands completed successfully. Now let me make sure the table's gone. It says table going away. Now let me recreate it. And look at all of this information. Let's take a closer look. Let's copy this, and let's open up an instance of Notepad. Paste all this in, and let's see some of the things that we can see. Here's the event type, which is create table, the time that it happened, the server process ID, the server name that it ran on, the login of who did it, the database that it occurred on, the schema, and so forth. A lot of details about that particular DDL statement can be captured with the event data function. So we want to stop any SLAX tables from being created. The event data function will pull out all of the metadata, including the word slacks in it, if that happens to be part of the DDL statement. So let's capture that. Let's go declare @message action, and we'll make it a varchar max. And let's set this variable of message action to be equal to whatever this thing captures. Let's give ourselves some space. And now I'm going to say if there's a character index that has the word SLAX in it, and that exists inside of message action, starting somewhere at the very beginning, we want to know about it, and we will, because char index returns a 1 or higher if a match is found. If it doesn't find it, it will be 0. If it finds it anywhere in the message, it will be 1 or higher. So if it's greater than 0, that means I found it. If that's the case, let's roll it back. Let me run this. Commands completed successfully. I'm going to drop the table. Now I'm going to try to recreate the boss slacks table. It ended in the trigger, and therefore this statement did not run. Lab 3.3, Skill Check 1. Create a trigger called TRG No Views in January that will not allow anyone to create views in the JProCode database during the month of January. Hint: to find out if it's January, use the date part month get date somewhere in your trigger. To test this out, use the create view statement you see in this figure and make sure the clock on your computer is set to January. The error message should say the transaction ended in the trigger, and your screen should resemble the figure you see here.